Hey, Zero Heroes, it's Ms. Mindy again, and it's November 1st, and we are into our 5th or 6th week of our project. We have well over 600 pounds of food waste we've diverted and fed to our worms. So I think that's great, that's awesome. Continue to feed them generously and be sure you report your data. This is science, it's not just a hobby, so we got to have data whenever we're doing science. So I think 600 plus pounds is pretty darn good at this point. And at this point, you're wondering, what exactly is going on in here? It's kind of a mess. My paper cover is all kind of disintegrated into little bits, and there's little flecks of vermicast up the walls, and there's maggots and ants and goopy food, and it's just kind of a big icky mess. Is that the way it's supposed to be? And the answer is, yeah, it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. It might look like a goopy mess to you. It may look like the Wild West with all these critters and chaos going on, but this is exactly what's supposed to happen. And to the worms, this is paradise. They have their decomposer associates in there working with them. They have lots of moist, fluffy bedding to hang out in, and they have lots of goopy food in various stages of decay that they're working through. And by now you've kind of noticed it takes about 2 weeks for them to get into a portion of food and start working it. So you've been going like I have, back and forth from one side to the next, and when you're feeding the side you're feeding today, you should have a little bit of goopy food left, or maybe none at all, but they're still working on a lot of goopy food on the other side. That's fine. You want a lot of food. What stimulates these worms to reproduce is too much food. What brings on all these critters that have been worrying you is too much food. Nature does not like imbalance, and we have created a very imbalanced situation by putting a lot of nutrients in one place. Nature wants that spread out, and all these critters that have been showing up, like the maggots, the flies, whatever. I mean, you've seen a lot of critters come through from what you're reporting to me. They're in charge of doing that. They're in charge of balancing out the earth. So whenever there's an abundance of something, they're going to come in and try and scatter it in whatever ways they have. It's a very, very hair-trigger situation, and isn't that amazing? We made a little imbalanced ecosystem, and within days, Mother Nature had sent in the troops to fix it for us, to help us out. So you've had your help, but it's been a little alarming, I know. Don't worry about the fruit flies, they're going to disappear. They are the first responders, and they are the first ones to get in there and take care of things. But as the worms start to take over and their response to abundant food is making more worms, you're going to see less and less of the other critters that have come in to fix the imbalance. So it's always really hard the first 4 to 6 weeks because you're seeing so much going on that just doesn't seem to make sense to you. But I want to assure you, this is exactly what's supposed to happen. So you're doing just fine. And this is a real turning point. Somewhere in about the 5th and 6th weeks, you're going to see the worms start to really get established, and we can start feeding them more and allow them to manifest their destiny of living in big, dense colonies, grinding through tons of food waste. So they're just on the verge of that. So this is no time to back away. Be a generous feeder. I'm on my 6th feeding, and let's see, I did 3 pounds, 3 pounds, 5, 5, 5. And this week I'm going to kick it up to 7. And I'll tell you why. Let's take a look in the bin and you'll see what I've got going on in here. Let me show you why I'm so confident that I can feed some more. Now this is my feeding from last week, and you can see they've just barely gotten into it. But I was digging around, just kind of seeing how they were doing. And guess what I found? Look at this. Baby worm. Baby worm. In fact, I found a whole bunch of baby worms in the banana peels and elsewhere. And I already have a lot more mouths to feed. Look at that. Babies! They're on their way. So now I have more mouths to feed. I'm going to up my amount when I feed on the other side this time. Look at that. See all those babies? A little cluster of babes. Hi guys, wow. Okay, we're on our way. These worms have started reproducing, and as their numbers get bigger and bigger, you're going to see the food disappear faster and you'll be able to give them more. So more mouths to feed. Let's feed more on our 5th and 6th, or say 6th, 6th, 7th, and 8th feedings is where you really want to kick it up, because these babies are on their way and they are hungry. And by the way, you can put your hand in the bin and dig around. There's absolutely nothing in here that can hurt you. So I like the feel of it. It really helps me know what's happening. And look at this mess. I've already made a mess, but it's okay. I'm going to shred up some more newspaper, fluff it up, and replenish my cover so it looks really nice on the outside. And inside, all kinds of great stuff is happening. So this is a turning point for us. By your 8th feeding, you're going to find you've got wads and wads of babies, and by week 12, you're going to have a whole full pound of big, hungry adult worms in there. And then you'll really see what these guys are capable of. So this is an exciting time. Hang in there. Remember that generous feeding will get really good results. Don't worry about what else is going on. It will all subside as your worms take over this ecosystem. I have a really talented artist friend who did a wonderful illustration for me to depict this whole thing about the decomposer community. They're not enemies, they're all friends. So take a look at this great illustration. I just love it. You see the wormies, and you see other little bugs that often show up in the bin, including the Suriname roach and the insects, the other insects, millipede, all the critters, isopod, all these little guys. You've got little dots to represent the bacteria. You've got a mushroom to represent the molds and mushrooms. And look at here. They're all holding hands and singing Kumbaya. Yup, these guys are all friends. They're associates. They're not enemies. They are buddies, and they all work together for decomposition. And the more bugs you get in your bin, the more stable your system is going to be, and the more efficient. So be happy. These guys are all together doing the work, and they're all holding hands, singing Kumbaya. So don't worry, be happy.